Show. And let's come back here to the continent now. So last week, you would have heard that the SADC Troika meeting resolved to provide technical assistance to Mozambique following the insurgency in the northern province of Cabo Delgado. Let's try and find out what the latest is there now. Let's speak to Fredson Guilengue, who's the manager of the Rosa Luxemburg Foundation, on where the process is currently, or what's happening on the ground at this particular moment. A very good evening to you, sir. Thanks indeed for your time. Thanks for joining us on The Full View. Do we know what the latest on the ground is now?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. What we know is that the government of Mozambique has been saying that they managed to clear the district, so it's fully under its control. But obviously, this information needs to be verified by independent sources. But that's not the biggest challenge. And when we look at the challenge today, is how do we balance the fight against ISIL, the much needed fight against terror in Mozambique and Cabo Delgado, with the ongoing struggle of the Mozambican civil society and some other political parties for effective democracy in the country. So looking at the support that Mozambique is expecting, which is basically to rebuild its army and security forces. Yeah. So I think what this mission also needs to take into account, it's not only the military needs, but also trying to look at the political roots of conflicts in Mozambique.
Yeah.
I need to say, just to remind everyone, that this is not the only conflict that's ongoing in Mozambique.
Yeah.
We still have a large-scale conflict in the central Mozambique between the government of Mozambique and the splinter movement of Renamo called Junta, and that is still ongoing. So it's very important to look at what are these groups, or what are some segments of the Mozambican society trying to communicate to us that we are not listening to them, and they are actually forced to revert to violence.
Ms. Guilengue, I think that Mr. Guilengue, I think one of the crucial issues for you as well as for many of those displaced on the ground, would have been a reliance of some sort on the outcomes of the recent double Troika summit of heads of state, which you say failed to come up with concrete steps to stop the advancing insurgency. What would you have liked to see come out of that meeting to assist the situation?
Yeah. This meeting, I think, should have been more concrete. Today, 3 years after this conflict has been going on, I need to remind you that at the very beginning in 2017, 10 people were beheaded by this group already, even before the group linked itself to ISIS. So extreme violence has been going on since the very beginning of the attacks by this group. And the Mozambican government has exhibited a very limited capacity to deal effectively with this conflict. So I think the leaders of SADC should have been more proactive. I also, by the way, the Rosa Luxemburg Stiftung, the organization I work with, at the very beginning of the conflict, said clearly that it's very important and urgent that SADC starts engaging with Mozambique in trying to help Mozambique to address this conflict, which was looked at I think which was not given its necessary relevance since its beginning.
Yeah, so SADC will send a fact-finding mission to Mozambique. Do we even know what the composition of this team will look like, when it will go there?
No, the statement of the Troika does not discuss the composition of, does not mention the composition of the technical team that's going to be deployed to Mozambique. But I also don't expect a political document like a statement after a political statement like that to go into such details. Yeah. So, like I said, what's important now is to look at how do we balance support Mozambique in terms of its military force, but also trying to prevent that this capacity is not used by the Mozambican state, which is not known to be democratic, against its own people. So, and then we go back to the same root causes of recurrent conflicts in Mozambique, which are essentially political. It's a reclamation of political space by different groups of the Mozambican society. And I'm not saying that terror, I'm not legitimizing terror here as a strategy to do that. But what I'm trying to say is that there is a political message that specific groups within the Mozambican society are trying to send. There is this political space that they need to be provided. And SADC needs also to address this with the Mozambican government.
Mr. Fredson Guilengue, manager of the Rosa Luxemburg Foundation, thank you very much for joining us on the latest coming out of Mozambique, in particular Cabo Delgado, the province there where many of these challenges were experienced.